Hello, my name is Bevan Pierce, and I am the Mental Health Coordinator for Communities and Schools of North Texas. I just want to say thank you for joining us today as I discuss the topic of managing anger and stress at home. I hope that you will leave here today with a better understanding of what anger and stress looks like for both caregivers and children. We will also be taking a look at warning signs, caregiver stress, and the importance of self-care. We will also take a look at anger management techniques and coping skills to use with your children. Let's begin. Managing anger and stress at home, caregiver stress, and helping our children. In today's webinar, we will be discussing more in depth an overview of anger and how it is expressed in both adults and children, caregiver stress and de-escalation techniques, demonstrations of examples of coping strategies and techniques, and resources for you and your children. Not only will you get to hear from me today, but we will be including video clips from several of our site coordinators at Communities and Schools of North Texas later in the presentation as they show us demonstrations of coping skills and techniques to use with your children. Overview of anger and stress. Anger is a natural experience for both children and adults. Anger is an adaptive response to threats. Anger varies widely, from mild irritation to intense rage. It is accompanied by physiological and biological changes. When you get angry, your heart rate and blood pressure go up, as do the levels of your energy hormones, such as adrenaline. Anger can be caused by both external and internal events. You could be angry at a specific person, event, or your anger could be caused by worrying about personal problems. Memories of traumatic or enraging events can also trigger angry feelings. It can be difficult to differentiate between anger and secondary emotions. What I mean by secondary emotions is when you or your child are feeling angry, there is often some other feeling that is fueling this. It could be feeling overwhelmed, feeling disrespected, helpless, fearful, and so on. It is important to look at the feelings behind the anger to better understand why you might be having this reaction. Once this insight is gained, then steps might be taken to relax and feel much better. An example could be, in PE, your child was picked last for the dodgeball game. Your child displays angry behavior such as yelling, stomping, and name-calling. When speaking to your child later that afternoon, you find out that they felt worried that this would happen, and when it did, they felt embarrassed. So they reacted with anger and aggressive behavior. This would be a great time to talk with them about alternate options to aggressive behavior when they truly felt left out and embarrassed. Stress is how the brain and body respond to any demand. This can be any type of challenge, such as performance at work or at school, a significant life change, or even a traumatic event. A stressor may be a one-time or short-term occurrence, or it can happen repeatedly over a long period of time. Long-term stress can lead to strain on your body and possibly cause headaches, sleeplessness, sadness, anger, or irritability. With that being said, not all stress is bad. It is effective for motivation to do tasks, and it's also beneficial in a potentially dangerous situation. Stress allows your fight or flight response to kick in and move you towards safety. We will look at this a little more in depth on the next slide. This diagram shows how our stress levels affect our ability to function. We are going to focus on the dark red and green areas of the diagram. As I mentioned before, too much stress can cause irritability and anger. We can see this depicted in the far right of the diagram in the dark red, labeled as panic or anxiety, and anger or frustration. You can think of this as when there is a combination of stressors and things just keep piling up, or one difficult stressor prolonged over a long period of time. One day, the individual does not know how to handle this anymore, and there is an anger outburst. On the other end, in the far left of the diagram in dark red, is boredom and even depression when a complete lack of stress is present in our routines. In the green area, you can see we are on top of our game, or performing at our best. Small amounts of stress in our day-to-day life is actually helpful to us. It motivates us to accomplish difficult tasks throughout our day. Anger and stress are difficult experiences for both children and adults. These are normal and healthy emotions for people of all ages. We can't necessarily prevent anger and stress from occurring, but we can explore healthy ways to identify and manage both feelings. Caregiver stress. It is normal as a parent or caregiver to lose your temper. As a parent, you are probably balancing many different demands, including work, family time, household chores, children's activities, and social activities. When you are busy and tired, it is easy to lose patience and feel angry when children do not cooperate or things do not go as planned. It is important to take a look at caregiver anger and stress as it has an impact on children and how they respond to these same emotions. Some common causes of stress and anger for parents include balancing many demands, anger and frustration with a partner, your child's anger and frustration, lack of self-care, and many more difficult day-to-day events. So, what does this look like? It may feel like you explode with anger without warning, but your body actually gives early signs of anger. When you can recognize these signs, you can also take steps to stop your anger from getting out of control. Some warning signs can look like a faster heart rate, a churning or your stomach in knots, agitation or feeling tense, faster breathing, tensing shoulders, clenching your jaw and hands into fists, and sweating. What can we do about this anger and stress? Sometimes anger and stress stems from unmet needs, such as social connection, quiet time, opportunities for movement or exercise, and plenty of other needs for a healthy mind and body. Often, parents prioritize for their children and they forget about themselves. It feels as though you don't have time to ensure that you also get consistent meals, rest, time to unplug or relax with family and friends, and all other self-care. Sometimes, caregivers feel self-care is self-indulgent. Self-care habits help us stay healthy and at the top of our game for our families and for ourselves. Self-indulgent habits such as binge-watching TV or avoiding important responsibilities tends to be a short-term fix rather than a real solution to your needs.
Self-care also tends to feel good over time, whereas self-indulgence is fun at first, but does not tend to help us long-term.
Hey, Lisa Hernandez here with Communities and Schools of North Texas, and we're going to chat a little bit about self-care as a parent or a guardian. Many times what overwhelms our children can overwhelm us. So what do we do about it, and why is that important? Self-care as a parent or guardian is extremely important because if we don't take care of ourselves, we're not going to be able to take care of our children. So what can we do about it? How do we self-care? How do we make the time? So what can we do about it? Dishes pile up, chores need to be done, and we're feeling stressed. One thing that I want to encourage you to do is take time out for yourself. Even if that means sitting on the couch, quieting your mind, taking a nap when the kids take a nap to rest, when your body is saying stop, it's time to rest, listen to your body and actually rest. It's okay to let dishes pile up. It's okay that the floor doesn't get swept or mopped or vacuumed for a day or two. Take time out to get some decent rest. Another thing that is often very beneficial is if we get out and move our body, maybe taking a walk in the morning before the Texas sun scorches down and it's too hot to do so, or in the evening when the sun is about to set and it's nice and cool. Take time to move your body and exercise, get your blood flowing a little bit. Maybe your self-care is making a meal from start to finish and making something very nutritious and healthy. Nourish your body from the inside and nourish your body from the outside with exercise. Sometimes self-care is just getting up before the kids. Spend some time in prayer or a devotional or meditation, whatever it is that's your jam that helps you to refocus your mind and recharge you. Do it. It's okay. It is okay to take care of yourself. It is okay to turn off social media, to turn off the TV, to turn off the news, and so you're not constantly being bombarded with all of this negative media attention, all of these negative catastrophes that are going on in the world. It's okay to turn it off for a while. If it's impacting your spiritual life, your mental, emotional life, turn it off for a little bit. Take a break. It is okay. Find something that you can do that recharges you and schedule it in your day. Make time for that, because if you don't make time to take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of anybody else.
Setting a good example. One of the best ways to teach children how to deal with anger is by showing them how you deal with your emotions when you feel angry. There will be times when you don't manage your anger well, and you yell or say things you regret. This is completely normal. When this happens, it's a good idea to take a moment to work out what to say to your children or to your partner. An example could be, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Even though I was angry, I should have walked away and calmed down before we talked about it." When kids see their guardian lose their temper, they can mimic similar behavior when they are angry. When they see a guardian cope with their feelings and label them appropriately, they pick up on that as well. It's healthy to show them how you handle angry feelings. Point out times when you feel frustrated, so your child understands that adults get mad sometimes too. Saying sorry for getting angry can send the message that anger isn't okay. But it is okay to feel angry. It's just not okay to yell in most circumstances. Saying sorry for yelling shows your children that it's okay to feel angry sometimes, but what we do with that anger has an impact on others. After apologizing for behavior, discuss with your children what you will do next time and how to handle the situation. Another great modeling opportunity is when your child is angry. Remain calm and in control of your own emotions. This allows the child to see how you maintain your emotions in difficult situations and does not escalate the child and their emotions. Frustration in children. Childhood anger. Anger looks similar in children, and it is important to help them manage and pay attention to these feelings. We don't want kids to feel it is wrong to be angry. Just like for adults, anger is a normal and healthy emotion. Children can struggle to differentiate between anger and aggressive behavior. Being angry is not a bad thing. It is what we do with that feeling that matters. Aggressive behavior, such as hitting others, is different from feeling angry and talking about it or doing something to cool off. We want to be able to validate how they are feeling and help them work through these emotions in a way that does not get them in trouble or hurt themselves or others. Frustration and anger can quickly turn to defiance, disrespect, aggression, and temper tantrums when children don't know how to deal with their emotions. So, how do we help them manage these emotions? First, we want to make sure that as parents, we have checked in with our own emotions and that we are able to help our children explore and manage their own anger without becoming angry or explosive ourselves. We want to facilitate identification of emotions. Help give kids the words to describe how they are feeling. Remember the anger iceberg we looked at earlier? Help them explore which emotion they might be feeling along with their anger. Children are more likely to lash out when they don't understand their feelings or they're not able to verbalize them. If your child is having difficulty labeling emotions, begin by labeling your child's feelings for them by saying, "It looks like you are feeling really angry right now." Over time, they will learn to label their own emotions. Teach your child warning signs of anger, so they are able to practice identifying when their anger is beginning to grow. Once your child is able to recognize early signs of anger, they can more quickly move to regulating and processing their emotions without an outburst. Allow expression of anger in a safe and healthy manner. It is important for children to be able to complete the cycle of their emotions and express themselves. This can include breathing techniques, counting,
drawing or coloring, writing, and many more coping skills. In this video, Lisa Hernandez will go through examples of how to de-escalate a situation with tips and phrasing you could use.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hernandez with Communities and Schools of North Texas. We're going to talk through a little bit about how to de-escalate a situation when your kids are fighting. Let's say you're hearing something going on, you're hearing commotion in the living room, you hear yelling, you hear screaming, you hear crying. Our first reaction is to go in there and start to yell, "What's going on? What are you doing? What's happening?" But instead, I want to give you some tools that you can use to de-escalate almost any situation that happens inside the home, outside the home. This works with a lot of ages from very, very young to high school, even into adulthood. Let's say your kids are fighting over the remote control or whose turn it is to play Fortnite or whatever game is going on in your house right now. So you hear the fighting, you go in there, and you see that both of your kids are red in the face. They have their fists clenched. Maybe one is crying, maybe one is yelling. And so you stop the yelling, you separate them, you tell your kids, "I see that your fists are clenched, your face is red. I hear you yelling. Are you angry?" "Well, yes, I'm angry." "Okay. What was happening that made you angry? Tell me what was going on that made you angry." "Well, brother won't let me have my turn. He's been on it a long time, and now it's my turn, and he won't let me have my turn." "Okay, I hear that you're angry because your brother won't let you have your turn. What do you want to do about it? What do you want to happen?" "Well, I want him to let me have my turn." "Okay, what do you want to do about it?" "I want to punch him in the face." "Okay, here you have to be the parent and control your facial expressions. Control your reaction. Take it with a grain of salt. Take a deep breath, take a step back, tell yourself not to overreact because he just told you he wants to punch his brother in the face, okay? Our first reaction is, "Don't you dare do that. You can't do that." But no, instead of doing that, take a step back and say, that is a choice that you can have, that you can make. You can punch your brother in the face, but what do you think is going to happen if you punch your brother in the face? "Well, I'm going to get in trouble." That's right, you probably are. Do you want to get in trouble? "Well, no." Okay, what other option do you have? What other choice can you make? "Well, I can come and tell you." Yeah, you can come and tell me. What else can you do? "Well, I can ask him nicely to give me the control." You can. What do you think is going to happen if you ask him nicely or you come and tell me that there's a problem? "Well, he might give me the control or you might make him give me the control." Okay. Do you think you're going to get in trouble if you do one of those two choices? Well, no. You're right. You won't get in trouble if you ask him nicely or you come and tell me or your dad or whoever's in charge, your babysitter, your grandma. You won't get in trouble. So which of these two options do you think are the best? You said punching him, you're going to get in trouble, or coming and telling me or asking nicely and you won't get in trouble. Which one do you think would be best? Well, coming to ask you, I have to agree with you. I think that's a good choice. But let's role play. Let's say I'm your brother. How would you ask me nicely to give you the control? Okay? And then talk it out. Role play. Let them role play with you how they would go about doing it. And then after a few minutes, after they have figured this out and they have practiced, you tell them, I think that's really good. When do you think you're going to ask him to do this? When do you think you're going to be able to talk to him in a nice way like you practice? Well, I'm going to do it right now. Okay, all right. Do me a favor. Come back and tell me how it went. I want to hear all about it. What this is doing is helping them identify the emotion that they are feeling. A lot of times, especially in our younger kids, they don't necessarily have the vocabulary or the skill set to identify exactly what they're feeling. By you acknowledging what you see, what you hear, what you observe, it is helping them to identify which emotion goes with that particular behavior. And then you're helping your child to think through cause and effect. If I do this, then this is going to happen. It is helping them come up with solutions that have consequences that they can live with. It's forward thinking, it's planning, it's stepping aside and looking at something or a situation objectively. What's the problem? What can happen? What solutions will bring what outcomes? This is a huge skill that many adults today don't even have. So the fact that you give this skill to your child, you teach this to your child, they have a leg up in life. Something else that it helps them to do is it empowers them to take action and to advocate for themselves. You are empowering your child to think through a situation. Another thing that you are helping your child do is when you tell them and you help them role play, you help them practice that skill so that practice makes perfect. And it might seem a little bit off at first, but you're giving them that skill set. You're teaching them. You're helping them develop that. And then the last step of this whole process is to tell them, I really want to hear how that goes. Come back and let me know how that goes. I've done that both personally with my own children and professionally. And when the kids come back and say, hey, I tried it like this and I told them this and they told me that and it worked out. The success on their face, the happiness on their face, they've succeeded. And why? Because you have empowered them to do that. So this is just a little technique on how to de-escalate a situation, all the while empowering your student, your child, to do what is right and come up with these solutions themselves.
Coping skills with demonstrations from our site coordinators. In this video, Caroline Walton will demonstrate how she uses flower and candle breathing with small children, shape breathing with older children, and ways to help children process their emotions.
Hi, my name is Caroline Walton, and I'm a site coordinator at Stewart's Creek Elementary. So when I have kids that come into my classroom that maybe are really upset or angry or frustrated, I can usually tell by their clenched fists or lots of tears or heavy breathing. Sometimes they totally shut down and they don't talk or do anything at all. What I like to try to do is get them to a calm state, or what we call a regulated state, before I try to talk to them about what it is that's bothering them or why they got to where they got. So a technique that I like to use with my little guys and with the big kids is a breathing technique. But the specific technique with the little ones is something I call flower candle breathing. So they can use their finger or I'll use my finger depending on what state they're in. And we pretend that my finger is a flower and a candle. So they pretend it's a flower and they breathe in and smell the flower. And then they blow out the candle. And that's something that the little kids really have a lot of fun with. If I want to really help distract them from their thought process and engage them more in what we're doing, I might ask them questions like, what color is your flower, or how many candles are on your cake, or what flavor is your cake, and that just helps them get out of their head and out of that angry thought process. If they're also having a hard time doing deep breaths and breathing out big enough, I will do the flower and the candle for them, and I'll pretend like my flower's closed up, and I'll say if you breathe really deep and really hard, that flower will open up. And so then my flower opens up the deeper they breathe in. And then I say my candle flame, you got to blow that candle flame out. And so the harder they breathe out, the more my flame starts to go away. And that causes them to breathe deeper. With the bigger kids, you can do shape breathing. So just depending on the size of the shape, that's the amount of time you take in a breath, hold a breath, let out a breath, and hold a breath, and then start that cycle again if you want to. So for example, with square breathing, we would do 4 sides. So I have them also draw the shape because that also helps distract again. So I would have them breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4, and then I have them hold 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hold 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that way they're counting, that's distracting as well. And that's a really great technique to use with the older kids for breathing. Now, after I've gotten my kiddo, older, younger, doesn't matter, to that regulated state, I want to help them process it. Process why they got upset. So what I like to do is always put that on paper. So with the older kids, it might be, writing a letter to whoever made you angry. And then you crumple it up and then they throw it in shoot it in the garbage can, throw it in the garbage can, whatever, just kind of physicality to get that anger out a little bit more. And with the younger ones, I like to have them color. So I say, pick a color that helps show what you're feeling. And then I might ask them oh, I saw you use lots of blue. What does the blue mean? Or they may even draw a picture of what happened, and then you can talk about it that way. And it's a great way for them to get the things on the inside to the outside. So those are the 2 things I like to do to help regulate and then to help process those emotions. But while I'm doing any of those things, my number one important thing for me to be doing is to stay calm and regulated myself. Because I get up here, they're going to get up there. So I have to really make sure that I am keeping a low tone. I'm getting on their eye level. I'm keeping a calm, open body posture. And then I'm trying to really engage them into calmness.
In this video, Caitlin Frum shows us how to create a calm down bottle and the best way to use it with your child.
Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin Frum and I am a licensed professional counselor. Today, I want to share with you a coping skill that I use with my students at school. I call this my calm down jar, and before we get into how to use the calm down jar, I want to show you how to make one. The great thing about this coping skill is it's something that you can create usually with items and materials that you have around the house. You can also make this into a fun family activity, which the kids really like. So, to begin, we have a plastic jar. You want to make sure that it has a lid that securely tightens because we're going to be shaking it and we don't want any water to spill out. I also have some soap as well as some glitter for texture. So let's begin on making our calm down jar. So the first thing you're going to want to do is put some soap in it. Now, usually I like to fill it about 1/4 of the way. However, if you don't have quite enough, it's totally fine because you're going to be filling the rest with water. So I'm going to pour some of this soap in there. And you can use different colored soaps, or you can even use some food coloring to make them different colors, which is also another fun thing for the kids so that they can make it their own. After that, we're going to go fill this with water. So you're going to want to fill up the bottle all of the way until the water overflows. At this point, you'll see some bubbles, and you're going to want to continue to fill it up until the bubbles are no longer there. And now we are ready for the next step. All right, once we have it full of water, we're going to want to put some of our glitter in there. And you can use different material for this. I like glitter because there's different colors that you can find. But sometimes people put little beads in there or little sequins, so it's up to you. And you're just going to want to put enough on the top. And you can always add more later if you decided you wanted more. So kind of play around with it. And then once you're done, you're gonna wanna put that tightly on. Like I said, we don't want anything to spill out, so make sure it's nice and tight. All right, and now we are ready to use our calm down jar. And then you can kind of see the glitter will disperse throughout the bottle. All right, so now that we have this created, let's kind of go through how we would use this with our kids. So when a child comes to me and they're feeling some of those intense emotions, maybe feeling really angry or sad, you're going to direct them to the calm down jar, and they have this opportunity to pick it up and shake it. And I believe that this first step is already helping the child calm down because it's allowing them to release some of that emotional energy. So you're going to allow them to shake it for as long as they want, and this is also allowing them that first step of processing those emotions. And so when they're ready, they can set down the calm down jar. And then as you can see, all of the glitter will start to settle down. At this point, the child has the opportunity to watch and just sit there and think about what's going on in their mind. At that point, their heart rate will begin to decrease, their breathing will become more regulated, and you will see just a more calm demeanor. The child has the opportunity to maybe do it again if they feel like they need to, but they have that time to process whatever's going on and kind of get into the moment and become more present.
That is something that I really enjoy doing with the kids, and I find that it's fun to make with them, as well as it gives them autonomy to say, hey, I need my calm down jar. And they can kind of do this process alone or with you, whatever works for them. Thank you so much for watching today.
In this video, Anna Kibbe will describe a coping skill called Shape Finder. This is a great coping skill for kids of all ages.
Hello, I'm Anna Kibbe, and I am the CIS Site Coordinator at Little Elm High School. I'm excited to share with you today a coping skill that I've used with little ones, as well as my older students. So teenagers tend to like this coping skill because they can use it in the classroom, at home, in a doctor's office. So what it's called is Shape Finder, and it's exactly how it sounds. So when your student or child is in a calm state of mind, what you want to do is teach them this coping skill that they can use when they're then either upset, angry, frustrated. What you do is you ask them to find a certain amount of shapes, or you can do a timed event where they find one shape in a certain amount of time. So for example, you could ask them to find you 5 squares, 4 circles, 6 triangles. Or you can say, find me 6 circles in the next 30 seconds. And you want to make sure that they call out the different shapes that they're finding. So it would be, for example, circle, there's a clock, circle, there's that poster, for example. And then once they're done with the event, they should be in a more calm state. If they're not, go for round 2. You can always change it up, mix it up, kind of make it your own. The nice part is with coping skills, you really can't go wrong. I hope you have fun trying this new skill out, and best of luck and have a good day.
Resources. I have attached several different websites, worksheets, and visuals for both caregivers and children to assist with stress and anger. I have 5 ways to teach your child anger management skills, helping kids manage their anger, 7 tips for stressed out parents or caregivers, a guide to self-care for parents or caregivers. Then I have an Angry Birds printable booklet that your child can do with your help, an anger iceberg diagram to look at together, an anger thermometer for you and your child to work on, and an anger management video on YouTube. Here are a list of helpful books for you and your child to read together about anger management.
This is also a great opportunity to check out your local library and pick up a couple of books together. We have When Sophie Gets Angry really, really angry. My mouth is a volcano. Angry octopus. Chillax, how Ernie learns to chill out, relax, and take charge of his anger. How to take the grr out of anger.
This concludes our discussion for today. I hope that it was beneficial as we got to see some demonstrations of coping skills to use yourself and with your children, along with the knowledge of how to recognize anger and stress building in our day-to-day lives. Please know this webinar link will be available for future reference. And again, thank you so much for joining me today.